This episode is brought to you by the RVA Podcast Network. Find more information at rvapodcast.org.
We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such.
Are you serious? Like, we at season 7, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons. Yeah, season 7. Magic number. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna go in depth with that, but yeah, this will be a very positive season. I don't know why and what's making me say that, but everything's changed. Everything is a lot different. I know the title you'll still see the podcast about sports and stuff, but yeah, I ain't gonna get no sports. I'm still, like I said, stuff is very fluctuating now. I found that the connection with things is to get people to talk, as well as me taking time to talk. So you'll notice it, especially when you hear the first few episodes of this season. But it's just about sitting down and just having good talk, good conversation. Pass the message. Y'all know they ain't going nowhere. If you know, you know. If you've been around for a while, you already know how we give it up. But just hang in there. The content's amazing. The moves are even more amazing. And just put yourself in the right headspace to get this information. So hope y'all enjoy. What's going on, y'all? Episode 362 of The Pass is here. I'm your host, BT, with yet another episode. This is a semi-impromptu yet necessary podcast, and I won't really go into details as to why, but let's just say some changes are coming that will help in the long run. And I've had some good, open, honest dialogue and feedback on some things to like really get life in the right direction, and that's been very helpful. Like, it's ironic, I normally, anyone who knows me or has been following the podcast always knows I'm always recording at the library. I'm recording at, like, when I was where I was living before, I would record at home, and no audio, no background, no problem. Well, I'm in a new location, and where I record, it's a little different because you're kind of put in a position where everything has to kind of be adjusted for the sake of. And what I mean by that is I can be as open in being myself, but I also have to be more aware of surroundings that comes with that. Any of my friends who have listened to friends or people who know me, I don't even know if this podcast was live still or not, but I still remember where I did a show and it was like in the process of the recording, I had to like cut it short based on like some background noise that I just had no control over and I couldn't stop if I wanted to. So to now kind of look at like the environment or the space of where I'm doing everything, is like, hey, when your number, we hear the age old phrase when your number's called and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, no big deal. But lately it's been more clear when my number has been called or when it's been my opportunity to show up. I show up and I show out, and I try to give my best effort because that's all I know. I'm going to, I have an outline, as y'all know, and it's funny because I've found this to be an interesting thing with me. When I'm doing my podcast by myself, I need an outline to kind of stay on track and kind of have like my key points of like, okay, I'm going to talk about this, going to talk about this and whatever. When I have guests on, however, it's the exact opposite. It's, look, we're going to sit here, we're going to talk about whatever we got going on. And if a topic comes up, then I'm like, oh, maybe we should get into that. I may jot some notes and kind of, circle back to some ideas. But for the most part, it's not as overly structured as most people would be accustomed to with doing podcasting. So, like I said, I have a few things, and I know I did briefly talk about MagFest on the last episode, but I want to kind of get into the experience of it this year. This year was a more like, I ain't been in a minute. I'm back. Let's see what it's about. It was a good opportunity for me, especially since it was like I could go this year because I had the time to take off, things of that nature. It was enjoyable to, you know, really get to hang with friends and enjoy time. And also, in theory, I was in need of a lot of rest. So there were some resting points where I was like, look, I'm tired. I'm gonna be Papa. I'm sorry. But I did get my true full experience between the arcade, between consoles. The arcade, I think I did mention it. I'm sitting here saying I didn't talk about MagFest, but then I realized I did talk about like the Taiko, I forgot it, it's Taiko no Tikutsu, something like that. The drumming game, which I've grown to love to the point where I almost want to buy one. I found the game, ironically enough, I found the game on Switch. I think it's $20. Speaking of Switch, I'm getting back to gaming a little bit more, and I've also possibly considered, don't know when, but I'm likely going to get an SD card for my Switch because I'm definitely running low on storage. So that's something that's come about and I've thought about over the last couple of weeks. And yeah, just like I said, the gaming vibes with MagFest was dope. Mark and I got to do our like hanging session, and I'm saying this now because I know it's coming. He's gonna be on the show. I've already told him, I'm like, once we're done with like the 6 months of workout, you gotta come on the show. Whether it means I gotta bring the microphone and we sit and chop it up, or shoot, for real, we could do it, record at the well. So I mean, if that opportunity is open, of course. But yeah, just thought about that and kind of looking at different things that have been going on. But yeah, like I said, MagFest was dope. MagFest was a good vibe. It was a good space to be in. The walking was helpful. The one thing I can say, because I was joking with Mark about this before, was like, if it was me probably before I started working out, walking back and forth from like our hotel, which was about a couple blocks away, to the actual hotel where the event was, I'd have been like, oh my God, I'm so tired. But now I'm able to have a better control of breathing and motion, which is a much bigger improvement than I realized in the long run. So I am excited about that. And like I said, overall, great time, great energy. Found some new food spots that were pretty cool. And it was some nice cosplay. Seeing people kind of get into their space of just like enjoying the environment was fun. I think the other eye-opening part, and I'm gonna take a brief break. The other eye-opening part was, normally whenever I've gone in for registration, usually registration is like, okay, it's some people, we might have to register, it might take a little bit, and then we'll be fine. When I saw the length of the spaces for where everyone was with doing registration, as well as like the actual line, the line was going in like snakes. I don't want to say snakes and ladders, but like not snakes and ladders, not chutes and ladders. It was almost like centipede or millipede. It looked like centipede, where it's like you see the centipede going back and forth, and that was how we kind of went through the line. But the line was moving at a pretty alarming and pretty fast pace, I'm not gonna lie. And like I said, getting through registration was cool. And then like afterwards, we kind of settled in, kind of seeing what the vibes were, arcade, where everything was set up. And I think now, like going to it as many times as I have, I'm beginning to see like they're keeping the format as consoles far left, merch second, indie, and then arcade in the far right. Mark and I didn't get our jam, NBA Jam, or our hang time battle in, but hey, it is what it is. Like we still had everybody had a good time. Chanel, they had a good time. I brought my equipment with the possibility of doing a podcast, but I also went in like, if we don't do a podcast, it's not the end of the world. And that was able to make it a more enjoyable experience too, because the last thing you want to do is force something that doesn't need to be forced. Like, hey, if it happens, it happens. So Yeah, that was a good ambiance too, of just kind of being around everybody, and then like the vast majority of everybody who usually is part of MagFest all were in our room, and we kind of like set the mood and not set the mood, but like play some good music, and just everybody was there just kicking it and just having a good time. So all around a good experience. I found an interesting 2% of like needing that little mini decompression state. So I feel like a lot of what I'm saying is what I talked about when I talked about this before, but in full, it was just good energy, good vibes, good people. So a win-win across the board. So, all right. So I thought I had one thing to attend to, but it looks like in the process of that, something else arrived. So I'll slip this in. This will kind of be I don't even want to say a shameless plug, but a legitimate brand push. The company Sunny Streak Shop. I ordered so let me backtrack. I am not against anyone who purchases from the box brands. So when I say box brands, I mean the Walmarts, the Targets, the Amazons, the wholesale shippers or deliverers. I'm one of those consumers, so I don't point fingers on that whatsoever. Not going to, haven't done it before, won't start now. That being said, I also like to support smaller businesses who sell similar products, because the profit will be spread or split in a more legitimate form. Prime example, a lot of people aren't a big fan of using them, but I found Etsy to be like a good place to purchase different products, different items. Last year, most of my digital planning or digital work was through Etsy, even down to different graphic images that I was able to find. A lot of it was on Etsy. So when I was looking for a holder, I was looking to find a holder for my bullet journal, and I went on Amazon and I found one, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I like it. It looks nice, but let me see if I can find it elsewhere. And so when I went on Etsy, the company that it came from, the company that I just mentioned, Sunny Streak Shop, they had it on there, as a purchasable item. So I was like, I gotta pick it up. And it was the tracking information was provided on the 8th to give context. When I first got the tracking number, I was like, okay, it's going to arrive, should get here, no problem. And I talked to the seller. The seller was very helpful, very communicative. And I'm definitely going to give her or leave their company some I promised her, I was like, once I receive it, I'm definitely going to leave a good review, because they've been working with me. The initial tracking number, the product never had arrived. So I was like, well, what's going on? And so she reached out. I reached out to her and told her what was going on. She said, I'll go ahead and get it sent to you so you can get it in a more timely manner. Now, she said she was going to send it, and it was supposed to arrive on Wednesday. It arrived today. And I'm looking at the packaging, and in my head, I was like, that is what you call fast service. And now that I'm thinking about it, which legitimately is, oh, wait. Oh, hold on. My bad. Because I get excited about little stuff. Yeah, because I was thinking that it might be, maybe it's like a different tracking number, but no, I think this is the one that I was initially, like, she sent it out and said it would arrive Wednesday. It arrived today. So that's what you call customer service. And I don't care what anybody says. Good customer service goes a long way. And I had this conversation with someone today who I'm going to have on the show soon. It's not about getting $1 from a consumer. It's about getting $100 from a consumer. And what that means, or what that looks like, is if that consumer can come back to you multiple times and get more product from you, that's how you build a customer. That's how you build a client. Going back to the big box companies, we rely on and we value the big box company for their purchases, because if we purchase from them, they send us what we order, we like it, we order more things from the big box company, but the big box company isn't the person or the company that made the product. And sometimes that gets lost in translation. So yeah, I was just excited about that. So I'll probably, by the time this show ends or at some unexpected point, I will get a update from the seller regarding it, which I'm pretty excited about that too. Running the remainder of the topics, and I'm not gonna speed run through these because I do want to talk about each one, because each one of them. So the next you might as well say the rest of it is gonna be more on a productivity talk point, and they'll kind of be valuable to each other in their own ways, and I'll explain that as we go through them. The first one is what I just heard about this for the first time this week, and it's called body doubling. So I'll give my story of where I got how I got introduced to it, and a possible content idea that I'm looking to possibly test out or kind of give a trial run to down the line. I was on TikTok and watching different videos, and as one of the videos played, it was a live stream of a young lady who had her camera on. She wasn't talking. She had already put up a message or had something that was showing on her screen saying, "I won't be talking during this live." And the crazy part is, at the time I didn't follow her, and I wish I did, because I think those are the type of creators that I need to find who are going at it a different direction, but still getting the main objective on the table. And in this case, the main objective that I was gathering, at least from that one, was she was talking about, I'm doing body doubling, where my phone is being placed on the table to record so that I can't use my phone while I'm trying to work on what I need to work on productivity wise. I explained all of that, but that still doesn't tell you what body doubling is. So let me explain it in a more clear aspect. Some people, myself, over the last few weeks, realizing that I'm one of them, is able to be more productive when others are around. And what that means is, like where I'm at now in my room, if I work on things in my room, I get things done, but I don't get things done the way I would like to. And it's the exact opposite. If let's say I had someone here, the person was here, but not talking to me, not doing it. They're just here in the room, but doing their own thing or whatever. Them being here is a way of, like, an example of body doubling, because they're going to do whatever it is that they're doing. But because I know someone else is here with me, I'm now being more productive. The example, two examples that I always give of this, because I go to these places. Well, I guess I'll say three places that I've found this to really work and really become like a thing are Barnes and Noble, Starbucks, and Panera. All three of those places, you can go in, you can set up your stuff to do whatever it is you're going to work on. And the body doubling consists of other people being there, even if they're at their own tables working on their own things. They may not even be working on anything internet based. They might just be coming in to get food, have like network meetings, business meetings, whatever the case may be. But them being there, it's like, okay, I've got other people around me who are being productive. It's not that I don't want to look counterproductive. It's I'm going to get what I need to get done, because I can see if others can do it, I got no excuse to not be able to do it my darn self. And I've lately found that this has really become like a new yet unique normalization for me with working on things. Like while I was at Starbucks this morning, people were coming in doing different stuff. I was able to get my blog done. I was able to write out my tasks for today. I was able to find a new weekly reflection spread that I'm going to do later on once I finish this recording. And also it put me in a better position to see that I don't need to drown out my time being entertained by social media. My friend who met with me today, ironically, he brought up, and like I said, I don't tell people a lot of things that I do or don't do. But when people bring up things that you are like into and you understand when y'all talk about it, it's like, all right, I don't feel as bad now. Like I'm not the only one that's like into this type of stuff. And he mentioned The Social Dilemma, which anyone who knows me personally knows that is one of my favorite shows that came out on Netflix because of how real world it was and what they were explaining and what they were going into about how when you're using an application or using a program, yes, we know the program uses and data and analyzes and has your information, but it's also knowing how important it is to see the signs that come with using different platforms. I tried to do something similar on what they did, where it was the phone lockbox. I didn't get the actual big one that they had on the video, on the movie, but I did get like a small lockbox for my phone. And I did that for a couple of weeks. And most recently, I just discarded of it for a few reasons. One, the actual, how can I describe it? The actual hinge of where it would open and close on the back end had like cracked or broken to the point where I was like, I don't know if this is going to function like it needs to. And I don't want to run into a dilemma where I lock the phone away and then I can't get it because that ain't working properly. So that was number one. And number two, I really don't want to take a chance of my phone being locked away and I need it for something, because I believe I talked about it on one of my podcasts, where first day I got the phone, I'm testing it out. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I can rock with this. This is good productivity. And the next day I was, getting ready to work, locked the phone away before I started work and realized, oh shoot, I needed to sign in to do my job. And they give you what's called emergency unlocks. You only get 2. And I had used an emergency lock literally within the first 24 hours of having the thing. And I was like, okay, this might be something that I need to really think about if I'm going to use this down the line. What I've done now, which I found is long overdue and super underrated, is I use my Bagby chargers, which, I'm not chargers, but cases. I have one now that I've been back and forth about this, but I think it's time. And that is either putting it, if I'm going to have it in my room or near my room, then I need to sit it on the door outside of my door, not inside like I've had it. Like it pretty much is in arm's length. So when I get up, turn the alarm off, and then I'm like, oh, let me get on the phone. And then time is moving. I also made a bold decision, and I know these are like topics way off from what the body doubling is, but I also made a decision. I tried to do the 4 o'clock wake up. Tried that for a day, which reminds me, I did 4 o'clock, and it was interesting to say the least. But now I'm gonna try 4:30 as my because I was trying 4:30 on my home speaker, and when I did that, it was cool for a little bit. Well, I tried it for one day, and I was like, nah, I would rather just use that for my speaker and listening to more music, because I should be learning how to utilize it. Because me not thinking about it, it's like I forget that it's here, and then I'm just looking at it like, hey, that person, I'm not gonna say it because I don't even want to activate or trigger it. But yeah, body doubling is something that I would recommend you trying with people who can help make you accountable. To take it a step further, it does not have to be someone physically in front of you. It can be someone either via phone. FaceTime. Heck, there's a Discord channel that I'm in on for Zoom where we will, well, not Zoom. There's a Discord channel that we use, and one of the subsections of the channel is a room where you can go in. It's like the lounge. You can go in the lounge. You can go in for whatever amount of time you need, and it's practically like a body doubling space where if you want to go in there for a quick 10-minute, well, not 10-minute, like a quick 30-minute session, go in there for 30 minutes. If you need to set a timer, everyone knows that I'm a fan of physical digital timers over phones as timers or smart devices as timers, because the reason why, and this is so random and so far from what I'm want to talk about, is power goes out. Better yet, internet goes out. That device don't work. Now what? Now you got to actually use something. And I get it. Yes, you can use your phone, but it's like trying to remember that these things that are electronic aren't running through just natural solar. They run through power. So if your cell phone is probably the riskiest, because if you set your, like, I've seen it, I've witnessed it firsthand where someone says, oh, I'm using my phone to, I put a timer on my phone. Okay. Or they do something and they say, yeah, I'm going to time it for this amount. I'm like, if your phone isn't even aware that you set a timer or doesn't go off at the right time, then what? Then you have something that's overcooked. You have set, I don't want to think the negative of it, but just, it can play a big impact and turn into like a wild domino effect. So just to avoid all of that, just have just get a timer, or get, like, there are different little timers that are out there. The ones that I'm usually recommending to people are from Baseus, Baseus, but also Instacart sells a rendition of the exact same timer that I have. And from what I can tell, it looks like a pretty solid timer, not gonna lie. I have two methods that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about them in reverse, because I did a blog on one of them that is currently on my blog. It's on my blogging page. I will put the link in the show notes for that. And the other one is the Eisenhower matrix. And I said, I don't know what I'm calling it. I wrote Parkinson's method, but it's called Parkinson's law. So I'm going to give kind of a overview of what it entails. Parkinson's law is the adage that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. It is sometimes applied to the growth of bureaucracy in an organization, but can be applied to all forms of work. And it's basically about the pursuit, like they put a book that's referring to it as the pursuit of progress. If you give someone the opportunity and saying you have 2 hours to get something done, or that it could take 10, you have a task. The task takes 10 minutes to get done, but you do it in 2 hours. The other hour and 50 minutes that was wasted is you going against the law of Parkinson's, because the more time that you feel you have, the more time that you're like, oh, I can lollygag and BS around what I need to work on. And by doing that, you're now not getting the thing done that you need to get taken care of. And it pretty much unintentionally becomes a domino effect on its own because of you working in that manner. So I'm even learning how important that is for my day to day, as far as with working on different tasks or different things I need to take care of. If I know that there's stuff that I need to get done, I'm looking at it as, okay, let's go ahead and do it. Not stress over how long it's going to take or how much time I have remaining. Because once that thing is done, that gives you the ability to get other stuff knocked out. The other day I had a friend of mine, I made her, I took and told you no, but I asked her to help me with, I needed a little bit of I call it kids time. Kids time as far as like hopping on the game system, take a little little unplug, a little reset, and just kind of get your head together. But before I did that, I was like, let me make sure I get all the other things taken care of, which the other things were primarily get my clothes, if they weren't already folded, put in their proper locations. Which once I started on that, like I literally started a playlist up, knocked that out probably like 10-15 minutes, and then as soon as I was done, I was like, all right, that's done. I can now enjoy, and I can go ahead and play my get my gaming time in. And I was able to get some gaming time in. I think I played for probably a couple hours. Been playing. It's a Pac-Man. So Namco did like one of their Namco museums on Nintendo Switch includes a Pac-Man Championship Edition, but it's like remixed to look like the original OG Pac-Man. And it's given like the new, it's like the old school look and feel, but the gameplay of a current version of Pac-Man. Like on my Xbox One, I still have Pac-Man Championship Edition, which in my opinion probably is one of my favorite Pac-Mans I've ever played, because it's like a 5-minute paced game. But the point of all that, I know I'm going all over the place. Playing those games is able to kind of, one, keep the mind stimulated a little bit more, and two, and most importantly, it provides an outlet of not the stressors and the worries of life and the day-to-day. Because the day-to-day is going to be the day-to-day. It's not going to change regardless of how you want it to change or how you want to see it. But having that brief moment of that brief R&R of like, all right, let me take a reset and let me get back to what I know and what's working. So doing that was cool, and it was definitely a fun experience by far. The other thing that I got introduced to, a friend of mine who has been like my musical BFF through everything, and like one of those who really can like talk music in their sleep, came to me, and she pointed out, as far as I've, put up different posts related to productivity, and the first thing she came to me and she said, you may need to look up or learn about the Eisenhower Matrix. And it's basically a time and task management tool to make it simple. It was invented, of course, by Dwight Eisenhower. He was intended to make tough decisions on a regular basis about which of the many tasks he should focus on, which led him to come up with the Eisenhower method, which helps him. It's basically about prioritizing and knowing like what you need to work on. So there's four matrices or four quadrants of it. One is do, which is important and urgent, which means do it now. There's decide, which is important and not urgent, which is you decide or schedule a time to do it. Then there's not important, but it's urgent, meaning you delegate that task where you have, who do you know that can help you in doing this task or taking care of this task. And then if it's not important or not urgent, you delete it. You just remove that task from being done. Because a lot of times and it's so funny, like I joked and talked about my boy Mark earlier, but he and we had this, I always bring this story up on the podcast because when he first was looking at doing tasking and working on stuff, he was like, I got so many things I'm doing. I feel like I'm not getting enough done. I said, okay, write out the list of everything that you have to do in a day. And I know if you've heard this story, fast forward a couple seconds, but I'm sharing this for people who haven't heard this. Write out your day, what you do in a day, and write it all out and see how much you're doing. In using the Eisenhower method, and I think he inadvertently ended up doing the Eisenhower method without knowing he was doing it, because now if it's on the list and it's not something that really is not urgent or not important, don't do it. Don't feel bad if you didn't get it done. I feel as though, and this is a constant conversation I've found myself in the midst of. We look at ourselves, we look at our lives, we look at what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and we're like, I feel like I'm not getting enough accomplished. I feel like I'm not getting enough done. I feel like there's so many broader opportunities of things that I can achieve or accomplish. And you're not wrong in thinking that. However, you also have to remember and still put yourself in a mind frame of, I'm human. I can't do everything all the time. You have to do what you're able to within the time frame that you're allotted and work through that and not beat yourself up over what you didn't get done. Spend time looking at what you did get done. So prioritizing and placing those focal points into your your day to day will play a big part. I think I'm gonna make that the background cover for the day. So yeah, something else to consider. I briefly talked about this with the body doubling, because I've now found the space-time monotasking group. It's reintroduced the brain back to monotasking again. Monotasking is the ability to avoid quote unquote multitasking, and most importantly, avoid task switching. And if you have a task to work on, like right now, my focal point of my task at hand is to record this podcast. So recording this podcast is priority number one. Other things do need to occur, and other things are going to occur, but I can't do those things while doing this. Like, I have a meeting coming up in a couple hours. I can't be in the meeting and still be trying to cook dinner or trying to listen to, like, I wouldn't matter. Perfect example. I can't be in the meeting with her, helping her with what I'm helping her with, while still trying to edit and upload a podcast that is not as urgent as I think or am making it out to be. So it's just knowing that balance and or happy medium between the two, and just focusing on what you need to take care of in the timely manner that you need to take care of. Monotasking then benefits to avoiding procrastination. Avoiding procrastination, you may as well say, goes right into Parkinson's law. I found a video. So before meeting with my friend today, I found a video that was going to be online. It was like an 8-minute video. It was set to come on at 9:00. I got to the location that I was going to meet with him at a little after 9, and I had some downtime. So I went ahead and listened to that, watched that video. And it broke down so many things that we really don't consider or don't take into account when it comes to procrastination. And the challenge a lot of times, whether we want to claim it as such, is the overthinking, which on Twitter and on Facebook, I've set that as like an image and reminding myself, stop overthinking, stop making it so complicated. And I know the more that I work through that, the more it will become clear that I don't need to make things as over complicated as I found myself to do in the past. And it makes things much more productive when you do that, when you have the right frame of mind to get the right things done. So yeah, avoiding procrastination is very helpful. I will I'll share the link for that video in the show notes as well. On the way to meeting with my friend, I thought about something that is probably going to be, well, I ain't gonna say probably. This will be my message to pass along to y'all. This will be a quick one today. We gotta. This might be a new record. Not really, but this will be a simple one. Learn or work on breaking the cycle. Most people, I have so many directions I can go in with this thought. Many people watch TV or watch different shows. Anyone who's a show watcher or big into shows have the same shows or the same channels that are in their wheelhouse or in their rotation. Nothing else really will get added, because if they add too many, then it will bombard what they're accustomed to watching. At the beginning of the year, I didn't stick with it very long, but I did say I was going to take like a social detox and be away from social media for the rest of the month. There are 5 applications that I find myself rotating through, and I've realized now that rotating through them can be a good thing and a lot of times a bad thing. And I call it the social power 5. They are, in no particular order, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Those 5 applications, if used accordingly, can impact your time. And in some cases, some people don't even realize the amount of time they can lose or the amount of opportunities they can gain from being on or being away from those various applications. if they're resourceful and they're helpful and it's useful, by all means, have at it. Go for what you know. I'm not here to stop anyone from the enjoyment of utilizing what's available. That's not what this is about. What it is about is if you're putting time into going right back to Social Dilemma, if you're putting time into viewing these applications, but the applications are doing more with your information than you're doing with the information you're learning from the applications or the programs, then we need to look at what we need to change. We need to look at, do these apps need to really be in our phones? Even this is a self accountability tip for myself. I watch, anyone who knows me knows that I'm a gamer. I love gaming. I talked about it at the beginning with the Switch. I spend a lot of time watching streamers on Twitch. A lot of people think it's the weirdest thing in the world, but my counter to that, I always say, you're judging me for watching people play video games, and you're watching people on a reality show do the same things every season. We are not going to unpack this the way you would like it to be unpacked, and it's okay, but it is what it is. You're watching someone who's running a business and keeping track of her life. You're never going to meet her. You're never going to meet the person or people she's involved with. You can only go by what you get off of tabloid stories and different blogging sites and stuff like that. But I found when I go on Twitch, I'm usually watching the same streamers all the time. And I'm like, how is that beneficial to using the platform when there are hundreds, if not thousands of people who stream on Twitch? So you have to learn how to break away from what you're accustomed to and try out some new things. Like lately, my new thing has been, if I don't have to, phone getting a rest. The phone goes right into the bag. It usually is going to go, like I said, it goes into Bagby, which if you want to purchase any products from them, I do have an affiliate link in the show notes. That's at the top, right below the actual caption of the podcast and what we're talking about. But I have their newest bag, which I've grown to love that version of the bag. I like the OG bags, of course. I need to check because I'm not sure. It's probably somewhere in a random spot, but my original red bag will literally live with me rent free because that is one of, if not the bag that started it all. Like I even talked about it on my friend Joe's YouTube channel when we talked last week or a couple weeks ago, and that conversation came up then about how like you put a phone in the bag, and it's so strange. You put a phone in the bag and you look at yourself and say, "How am I getting so many things done?" Because you're not as inclined and as in tune with what the phone is doing. So circling back to the beginning of this Pass the Message, don't put yourself in the wheelhouse of, don't box yourself in your own mind-based wheelhouse, because there are so many other things that you can be doing and should be doing with that time. And if you're utilizing it properly, you can get more out of the time that you're using doing those things. So just be aware of that today. Be aware of that throughout your life. And an added bonus or an added reflection or added message, speaking of reflection, it doesn't matter if you do it daily, weekly, monthly, annually. Hell, you can do it hourly. Learn how to do reflections and assessments on yourself. And what that looks like, or what that seems like, is asking yourself those hard-hitting or uncomfortable questions. Like, did I fulfill what I needed to fulfill in the previous hour? Do I feel that the people that I've talked to or had communication with, were they productive conversations or were they non-productive conversations? Did I give energy to people who were not deserving of my energy? Did I give someone a negative tone in a way that they weren't the person at fault? It could have been something that was going on with me. Over the last week, who inspired me? Who helped me when things was low? Who was able to call me out? And was I open to accepting the call out when it occurred? And how are you able to face yourself how are you able to face the music when the music stops playing? I know those are some deep thoughts, and I know those are some like random questions, but there are different reflections you can find online, just general questions to ask yourself for like daily reflections, monthly reflections, things of that nature. Passion Planner, go to on Google, go look up Passion Planner for weekly and monthly. They have a free template for both of them. I'm putting you on game on this one because it's very key. But you can utilize that template for both monthly and weekly planning of looking at, am I where I should be? Am I working on what I need to work on? Should I be working on more? Did I get everything accomplished in the time that I was provided? Because we all get the same X number of hours per week. Like, you think about it as 40 hours off rip is going to work, give or take. You can kind of be technical and say you can add some hours because of commuting. But then what are you doing on those opposite ends of those hours, like before work, after work, things of that nature? So just stuff to think about and stuff to kind of put your headspace in the right place and staying positive and productive for the remainder of the year. That is all I have for today. I hope everyone has, and like I said before, has an amazing week. Do something good for yourself. And as one of the questions from the planner specifically asked something that literally triggered me to really talk about why I felt a certain type of way. I'm going to find this real quick and then I'm going to let y'all go. Because we need, we got to call things for what they are. And one thing with me, I'm not very good with corner cutting at all because it's just not my thing. One of the questions was, how did you practice self-care this week? And as soon as I saw it, the first thing that popped in my head was, how did I practice self-care this week? I didn't. Next question. Because I didn't. And I really felt it. And I didn't realize the magnitude of how important that is when you remove self-care from your routine. So, that's all. Like I said, that's all I got. Y'all have a good day. And I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace. Another episode is completed. Thank you all for listening. If you want to check out the podcast, you can go to buzzsprout.com. If you're looking to do podcasts, you can go to buzzsprout.com. To get to my podcast, you'll go to the pastbtpod.buzzsprout.com. If you're looking at getting a microphone, I always suggest getting the Blue Yeti X. That is the microphone that I use. If you're starting off and you need something more affordable, Samson Meteor, it's a worthwhile investment. And there are other microphones that are going to be simple enough. My big suggestion I tell everyone whenever looking for a microphone, be sure that your microphone has the ability to have you listen to your audio or listen to yourself as you're talking. It will make a big difference in your editing and your podcast. Also, most importantly, and I tell people this is a tip offline, but I'm giving this in the final listen or at the end of the show. Drink water while recording, and also just drink water in general. But drink water while you're recording, and the reason why, you'll be surprised. All right, see y'all on the next show.